Okay, hi all. So we're going to start our first little bit of revision. And what we're going to focus on this morning is expanding brackets up to where you've got 3 lots of brackets. And this might be something you come up within your exam. Where I'd like you to focus your energy is on where you've got single and double brackets. But if you do get a question with triple brackets, I also want you to know how to approach that. And it's really the same strategy. So if you've got a good strategy for all of your other things, for all of the other ways you do it, then to do triple brackets is actually not that much of a stretch. And it is something you might have to do in the future. Okay, so firstly, explaining a single bracket. So what we're saying here is we're multiplying x minus 2y by x. Now, the way that we expand the brackets, really... Oh, I just dropped my pen. 1 second. Okay, the way that we multiply or expand the brackets is just by multiplying whatever's outside the bracket by everything that's inside. So we multiply x by x. We multiply x by minus 2y. So what we end up with here is x multiplied by x, that's our first 2 together, minus, now that negative stays the same because that x there is positive, and a positive times by a negative is always a negative. Okay, and then x times by 2y. Now we can simplify that. When we simplify it, we end up with x times x, which is x squared, minus, now when we're writing something like 2xy, we always write the number first, then we go alphabetical order for the letters. So x comes before y, so we write 2xy. Okay, and that's our multiplied form of x minus 2y. Remember, when you're doing this, you're not changing what that actually is, you're just representing it in a different way, and that way is just without the brackets. Okay, now, second one. This one's a little bit trickier. So exactly the same process. So you multiply everything in the first bracket with everything from the second bracket. Now, I do not want you to try and do this just by inspection and just by looking at it. You might be able to get away with that for the one above, but once you get to double brackets, you really can't do that anymore because you will miss out terms. From these 2 brackets, once you've expanded them out, you should end up with 4 things that you need to simplify. Okay, so we first multiply the first thing with the first bracket with the first thing from the second bracket. So we get x times x. And I'm going to change colours for all of this. It's going to be a bit slow, but it should help visualise a bit. Then we multiply the first thing from the first bracket with the first thing from the second bracket. And you'll notice that that's kind of exactly the same as what we did above. So we're multiplying, we now have negative 6 times x, so that's negative 6 times x. Again, remembering if that's a negative and that's a positive, then that resultant is a negative. We're then going to multiply the second thing from the first bracket with the first thing from the second bracket. So that's positive 3 times x. And then lastly, we're going to multiply that last thing from the first bracket with the last thing from the second bracket. So we end up with negative 6 times 3. Okay, now we can simplify this and change back to black. So x times x is x squared, negative 6 times x is minus 6x, 3 times x is 3x, and negative 6 times 3 is negative 18. If you want to double check that, any of that on your calculator, like the negative 6 times 3, feel free to do that. It's completely fine. Okay, now from here, we have negative 6x plus 3x. So negative 6, and they're like terms, we can add them together. So we end up with x squared, that doesn't go with anything, because there's no other x squared terms. Then we have negative 6x plus 3x, so that's minus 3x when we add those together. And then the minus 18, that doesn't go with anything either, so we just chuck that on the end. And that's our final expanded form of our original thing. Okay, we're just going to look at a second one. So this one, we've got 2x plus 1 multiplied by x minus 7. So again, we're going to multiply the first thing with the first thing together again. So we have 2x times x. Then we're going to multiply 2x times minus 7. So that's negative 7 times 2x. Okay, then we have 1 times x. So that's plus 1 times x. And then the last bit, we've got 1 times minus 7, so minus 7 times 1. Again, you should always have, you'll notice there's 4 parts to that. 1 part, 2 part, 3 part, 4 part. There should always be 4 parts when you're expanding 2 brackets. Okay, we can now simplify this. So here we've got 2x times x, so that's 2x squared. Negative 7 times 2x, well, 2 lots of 7 is 14, so that's negative 14x, plus 1 lot of x, so that's just plus x. And then negative 7 times 1, negative 7 on the end. So again, we can simplify this bit in the middle. Okay, negative 14x plus x, and that's 2x squared minus 13x. Okay, negative 14 plus 1. And again, if you want to do that on your calculator, negative 14 plus 1, just to double check you got the right answer, feel free, and then minus 7. Okay, we're going to move on to 3 brackets. Now, 3 brackets is difficult, and it's difficult mostly because you've got to do the same thing twice. And what we might actually just do, if I can, is I'm just going to move this onto another page. Ooh, have we disappeared now? Okay. No, insert blank page. Okay, I'm just going to move this up to the top, and it will give ourselves a little bit more room. All right. Okay, so we've got to do the same thing 2 times. So again, first thing we're going to do is we're just going to focus on 2 brackets for the moment. So I'm just going to put a line through here. We're going to deal with that x plus 2 later on. Okay, so first thing we're going to do, I'm going to multiply the first 2 things together. So x times x. Then I'm going to look at the first thing and the last thing. So x times minus 1, so negative 1 times x. Again, always write the number first. Okay, then we're going to look at 3 times x, so plus 3 times x. And then last one, we're going to do 3 times minus 1, so minus 3 times, oh, I wrote that the wrong way around. Minus 1 times 3. Okay, so we're still ignoring that x plus 2. And from here, I'm going to simplify this. So x times x gives me x squared. Minus 1 times x is negative x. Plus 3 times x is 3x. Minus 1 times 3 is negative 3. So 3 minus 1, that's 2. So we have x squared plus 2x minus 3. That's my fully simplified form. Okay, now I want to look at the x plus 2. So I'm now going to rewrite this as x squared plus 2x minus 3 times by x plus 2. Okay, so now I'm back to having 2 brackets. And that's always the state that we want to be in, because we don't really have a rule or a way of doing it with 3 brackets straight off the bat. Okay, we want to always bring it down to 2, and then we can kind of use our claw hands to multiply out. So same principle again, but we're going to have more terms this time. So I'm multiplying all of the things in this bracket together with all of the things in this bracket. So first one together, and that gives me x squared times x. And I'm going to use the same colour here, and I'm going to multiply that x squared by the 2. So I'm going to have plus 2 times x squared. Okay, so that's from that first 2. Let me change colours. Okay, now I'm going to look at this 2x times x. So then I've got plus 2x times x, then plus 2x times 2. Okay, so they're from that middle term. And then last one is I'm going to look at the last one. So then I've got negative 3 times x, and then negative 3 times 2. Okay, so now last thing is, so you'll notice in this one, we've got 3 terms, there's actually 6 different things that we've got to simplify. So with our simplification, I'm going to start off now, x squared times x, when you add on another x, that makes it x cubed. Okay, plus 2 times x squared, well that's just 2x squared, plus 2 times x times x. Now x times x is x squared as well, so that's going to, again, be another lot of 2x squared. I'll just put arrows, that one's from that one, that one's from that one. Okay, plus 2x times 2, well 2 times 2 is 4, so that's going to be 4x, minus 3 times x is minus 3x, and then minus 3 times 2, that's minus 6. So now, in this case, we've got 2 lots of things that we can put together, because we've got 2x squared terms, so we can add those together, and we've got 2x terms, so we can add those together. So here we end up with x cubed plus 2 lots of x squared plus another 2x squared, that's 4x squared. And then 4x minus 3x, that's plus x minus 6. Okay, and that's 1x there. 4 minus 3 gives you 1. Alrighty, so that's how you expand 3 brackets. Again, I want you to mostly focus on 2. If you're happy with 2, then I'm happy. Okay, if you're feeling confident about 3, that is amazing. That's a really impressive effort. So as long as you can do single and double, that's good for the moment. All right. Hope this helped for some revision. Please do the worksheet, and yeah, we'll get to it.